God's Wonderful World, Some Strange and Out-of-Place Artifacts. For over 25 years, I have scoured the areas I've lived in searching for fossils, Indian artifacts, and historic period relics. To say that I have found thousands of items would be, in its own, an understatement. However, in all the finds I've made, there's only been one that makes me scratch my head in perplexment as to how it got where it was and what it is. There have been many out-of-place artifacts found all over the world, and we'll look at some of those as well as discussing the one in which I recently found. When items show an advanced technology but are found in rock that science claims to be millions of years old, what are we to think? I believe that these out-of-place artifacts predate the flood of Noah, that these are relics left by ancient man. But how can we reckon technology found in rock millions of years old? First, I firmly believe the Earth to be much younger than science teaches. But on the other hand, creationists usually settle on a date of around 6,000 years, and I don't agree with either. I believe, though, that I have no proof of it, that the world is between 25 to 50,000 years old. Many people believe that many out-of-place artifacts and fossils are proof that in ancient times our planet was visited by aliens from some far-off world. And why would these ancient aliens come here, and why would anyone think that in the first place? Many people believe primitive man was not advanced enough to, say, to build the pyramids of Egypt or those of South America. Their thinking, to me, is quite flawed indeed. You see, man before the flood was very technologically oriented. When God created man, we were made perfect. But once Eve was deceived by the serpent and in return deceived her husband Adam, sin entered into the world, and as time progressed, man slowly lost many of the abilities that God had given to us. One of those being the far advanced mental capacity that the perfect creation had. Keep in mind also that prior to the flood, man lived a very long time, 900 years. What might you accomplish if you had that lifespan? But as man plunged deeper into sin, our lifespans decreased, and so also did the power of our minds. With sin, man left his perfect state. Man of ancient times was very intelligent, more so than we are today, and we did not require alien intervention to accomplish great things. It is my contention that when we find out-of-place artifacts that we are looking at pieces from prior to the Great Flood. This is not true of all, but it is true of a great many such artifacts. This then brings me to the stone which inspired me to write this piece. Let me briefly describe it, and I will go into greater detail in just a little bit. This stone measures about 2 inches by 2 inches by 1.5 inches. It is a very hard grayish blue stone with a few also very small fossil formations in it. There's a sea lily stem fragment, round segment in the stone. But basically it is a common enough looking rock except for a piece of iron that is embedded in it. The iron fragment looks folded over with its center hollow. The iron piece would measure about 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch by 3/4 of an inch. On the side which is opposite of the iron inclusion are reddish color veins which I assume to be iron in its more natural form. And I believe the iron inclusion was worked by ancient man, but certainly not by ancient aliens. I found this rock in Saginaw, Michigan in the summer of this year, 2014. However, I cannot say it is originally from Saginaw because it was with decorative stone as part of the landscaping of the First Merit Bank on Gratiot Avenue here in Saginaw. Where the stone came from originally, I've not been able to ascertain. Nobody really seems to know. What could the iron piece, though, have been? I am not very good at speculating on such things. It may have been used as a spacer, like a very thick washer. That is the only thing which comes to my mind. If any of you viewers would like to offer your idea on what it may have been, then please post your thoughts in the comment section. But it is quite interesting to me, especially in light of other out-of-place artifacts that I have read about. So let's take a look briefly at some of those, and we'll come back to my rock a little later on. First, let's stop in Illinois, where a 114-foot well was being drilled. The year was 1880, and the location was Lawn Ridge, about 20 miles north of Peoria. The pump that was being used brought up a small coin or medallion. It was found to be composed of an unidentified copper alloy and was about as thick as a U.S. quarter. In its origins, it was found to have been passed through a rolling mill, and that the edges showed other indications of having been formed in a machine shop, not by any natural processes that might have been going on. Then on the coin were etched with acid. On one side, a woman wearing a crown or headdress. Her left arm is raised as if in some sort of benediction, and her right arm holds a child who is also crowned, which sounds suspiciously like some representations of the Virgin Mary and the baby Jesus. But on the opposite side is some sort of animal with long pointed ears, large eyes, and a mouth, claw-like arms, and it is in a crouching position. It has a long tail that is frayed on one end. And below and to the left of this creature is another animal which looks very much like a horse. Around the outer edges on both sides were undecipherable series of glyphs of very definite character, displaying all the signs of a form of writing. Recent calculations based on uniform rates of alluvial deposition and radioisotope dates for this region estimate an age for the material from just below a depth of 100 feet to be between 100,000 and 150,000 years. Was there an ancient civilization in America all those many years ago that could work copper and other metals, possessed art and writing, attired themselves with crowns and other clothing, had domesticated animals such as horses, and utilized acid for etching in a manner still not understood today? And perhaps most unusual, they possessed forms of machinery for the cutting, rolling, and processing of metal pieces, such as this coin. This is not the only out-of-place artifact to be found at deep levels in Illinois. In 1851, in Whiteside County, another well drilling bit brought up from 120 feet two copper artifacts. One appears to be a hook and the other a ring. Their age is estimated at 150,000 years. In 1974, in Romania, on the banks of the Mureș River, a very perplexing find was made. An aluminum wedge was found 35 feet beneath the sand and alongside two mastodon bones. The wedge looked similar to the head of a hammer. The wedge was examined at the Archaeological Institute of Cluj-Napoca, and it was found to be made of an alloy of aluminum encased in a thin layer of oxide. The alloy of the wedge is composed of 12 different elements. This is very strange because aluminum was not discovered until 1808 and not produced in any quantity until 1885. Aluminum requires 1,000 degrees of heat to be made, and being that the wedge was found 35 feet down with mastodon bones would make that wedge at the very least 11,000 years old. Now let's go to mysterious China, where was found the very strange Bagong pipes. There is found there a series of pipe-like features. The pipes are reported to be associated with a pyramid about 200 feet high and built on Mount Bagong. Two of the pipes are found in a large cave in the pyramid's side. One is described as 6 inches in diameter and preserved as a reddish-brown half pipe. Dozens of upright pipe-like features of similar diameter were also found. No date other than quite ancient has been offered by science. Then there is the very unusual Kocis Artifact that was found in a lump of hard rock on February 13, 1961, near the town of Olanchia, California. Found inside is what, for all intents and purposes, was a spark plug. Its estimated age, 100,000 to 500,000 years old. explanations for this relic vary greatly, but one suggestion is an ancient civilization, quite advanced, such as Atlantis perhaps, had the need and technology for such a piece. This piece is now being discredited as a 1920 spark plug, but that explanation leaves so many unanswered questions. Then there are so many such relics that are out of place. Let's just take a very quick look at a few other really interesting ones. But there are many more that I'm going to talk about here today. From 800 AD, from an 800 AD shipwreck, the Antikythera mechanism, a complicated calendar of astronomical calculator, was found. The device consists of 30 gears, thousands of years before man is supposed to have had the technology to produce gears or a calculator. The Battery of Baghdad, unearthed in 1938 outside of Baghdad, this is a 5-inch clay jar, about 5 inches tall, as I just said, containing a copper cylinder. The bottom was capped with a crimped copper disc held in place by asphalt or bitumen. Another insulating layer sealed the top, forming a functional battery. Over a dozen such batteries have been unearthed in Iraq. The battery is supposed to be aged around 2,000 years old, and science now believes that they may have been used as part of the process of attaching gold to other objects. A stone found in China had embedded in it a screw threaded metal bar. It is suspected to have arrived via a meteorite, but its origins are mysterious. But more mysterious is who made the threaded metal bar and why and where. If it really did arrive on Earth from a meteorite, this would tend to lead one to think that there is intelligent life out in the cosmos, because it most definitely is a manufactured piece. Hundreds of metal spheres with at least one having parallel grooves in it have been found in Africa. There are two types of spheres that have been found. One type is a bluish material with white flecks in it, and the other is a hollow ball with a sponge-like center. These were found in western Transvaal. They were found in sediment dated at about 2.8 billion years ago, and they are extremely hard material. As I've said, there are so many more. An excellent site to visit is listverse.com. And I got into all that I have told you so far because of a small rock that I told you about in the beginning that had embedded in it a piece of iron. Such enigmatic finds are all around you if you keep your eyes trained to the ground and stopping to examine rocks and stones which have an unusual look about them. In just such a way, I have found many wonderful items, including fossil jellyfish, fossil sea scorpion, and so many other wonderful examples over the years.